Welcome to After Further Review. I'm Jon.
I'm Gules.
And this is After Further Review. We got a great Week 10 summary and a look ahead to Week 11.
A brief Week 10 summary.
Yeah.
We got important things to talk about.
Huge things to talk about. Packed with action. An action-packed podcast.
Action-packed.
Per
Just
se.
took the action and just packed it into this podcast.
Let's jump right into it. Week 10. Thursday night, Colts-Titans. Colts won 34-17. Derrick Henry 11.9. Nyheim Hines 28.5. 2 touchdowns. Texans-Browns. Bad weather. It was a delayed start. Browns got the best of the Texans 10-7. Nick Chubb 18.6. 126 yards and a touchdown in his return.
That one hurt because I was the only
one who
picked the Texans last week.
Could have had 6 more, but he stepped out at the 1 to win the game. And then Kareem Hunt. It was a good shared backfield. Kareem Hunt had 16.2, also 100 rushing yards. 3 receptions.
I tell you, Kareem Hunt does better with Nick Chubb in the game, and that's a fact. Statistically proven.
It's just a little concerning as a fantasy owner of Kareem Hunt when he's sharing that many touches because he could be getting more than he is.
But when he gets more, he doesn't do as well. He gets tired. He doesn't make as much out of it.
Yeah.
I mean that's what we saw when Chubb was hurt.
He had a few 20-point weeks in there. Lions beat the football team 30-27, a little closer than I thought. Prater hit the game winner.
I thought it would be a shootout.
Another good shared backfield. Antonio Gibson, 22.5, found the end zone twice. And McKissick had 17.9. He also had a touchdown. DeAndre Swift for Detroit had 25.9 fantasy points.
Carried my bench.
Yeah.
Absolutely carried it.
Buccaneers-Panthers, 46-23, 17-17 at the half. Buccaneers had a fantastic second half. Tom Brady's
like
the
second half man.
Like I said, doesn't have 2 bad games in a row. 31.84 fantasy points. Rojo Jones had a 98-yard touchdown, longest of the year, 24.8 for him. Mike Davis on the Panthers, 8.4. Giants won. They should have won both games if Evan Ingram could have caught that. It's not surprising. Dan Jones had 22.16 fantasy points. He's 3-0 when he has no turnovers.
Does he have more fantasy points this season than Lamar Jackson?
No, I don't know. He does not.
I'm willing to bet there's a chance.
He does not. I checked.
Oh, okay.
2 straight wins for Dan Jones. 2 straight games with 0 turnovers. It's looking pretty good for Dan Jones.
Okay, you beat the Eagles. I wouldn't say you're looking good.
We're looking at a home playoff game here, Julian. We're like half a game back. I don't know
why a home playoff game matters if you're just going to get shellacked.
But home advantage is a big thing, especially in the cold weather in New York.
You would need more than home advantage.
Hey, we could pull it off. And then from there, miracles happen.
And the team that you're playing is a bunch of crippled fifth graders.
Well, we might play the Rams.
Yeah, you're going to lose that.
No, the Rams stink.
Dude, Aaron Donald teeing off on Daniel Jones.
Dan Jones would just run away.
If he can keep up, right?
Packers-Jaguars. Packers won 24-20. Adams had 18.6 and a touchdown. Scantling had a nice game. Cardinals beat the Bills. What a finish that was. The Hail Mary. Hopkins had 25.7. On the other side, Diggs had 25.3 and Cole Beasley had 27.9.
Is Hopkins the best receiver in the league? Will we talk about that later?
We'll talk about it later, but just a quick thought on it. No.
Yeah, we're definitely talking about that later.
No, it was a wide receiver battle, Hopkins versus Diggs. Diggs is obviously number 1 right now, but he hasn't had a bye yet. So we'll see after this week who is really number 1 with the byes.
I think it'll still be Diggs, no offense.
No.
To anybody. He's just got the
Dolphins
numbers.
beat the Chargers, and Tua is 3-0 as a starter, 14.66 fantasy points. You guys keep doubting the Dolphins week after week.
Well, not
5 straight
not
wins.
Next week, John.
I
get there. So.
Yeah. Dolphins are only half a game back on the Bills. The Bills have a bye. The Bills are 7-3. Dolphins are 6-3. And it's looking good for Tua. He's had a great start.
If the Bills and the Dolphins went at each other, I would pick
They're going at each other later in the year.
Yeah, that's what happens when they're in the same division.
Yeah.
But I will pick the Bills when that time
Raiders
comes.
beat the Broncos, demolished them actually, 37-12.
Who picked that one?
Josh Jacobs. Nice job. Matt did too. Josh Jacobs had 29.6.
I'm kind of a fiend for the Raiders this year. I won't lie.
Josh Jacobs had 29.6 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns, and Devontae Booker, also for the Raiders, also had 2 touchdowns, 21.3. Another shared backfield. who both went off. We saw a lot of that this week. Broncos stunk it up. Drew Lock's hurt again. Rams upset the Seahawks 23-16. Russell Wilson 9.92 fantasy points. He's had 10 turnovers since week 7.
He
slowed a bit.
His kitchen is turning more into a food truck, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Russ is his cooking. He's turned the stove from hot to medium, is what I'd like to say.
Cool down a bit, but I wouldn't doubt Russ. Got a lot of experience.
Well, Russ is adding
he knows what it takes. He knows what it takes to make a playoff push.
Russ is like focused on seasoning the pan, and his defense is coming along and just seasoning it with like fake butter and water.
Yeah,
is what's really happening.
Added sugars.
Yeah, see if you can follow that.
DK Metcalf also shit with 4.8 points. Malcolm Brown for the Rams had 2 touchdowns, 19.1 fantasy
I do want to say this. If you think that DK Metcalf isn't going to come back and have a big week eventually, you're wrong.
I think it'll be this week. I think it'll be this week. A high-scoring game. We'll see, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, last time he played the Cardinals,
Jared Goff. That was Matt's big pick last week against the 32nd ranked defense. Only 10
that's why Matt's not here today. We fired Matt because he's terrible at his job.
Got terminated, really. Only 10.48 for Goff. He might never throw a touchdown pass again. That's my opinion. No, I seriously think there's a good chance he's not the Rams QB after this year.
Who else is?
I think they'll go looking in the draft and look for a veteran. He had a fantastic 2018, and he's been shit ever since.
Interesting thought. Who do you think... Sorry, I won't bring it up now because it'd be a long topic.
Okay. Steelers-Bengals. Steelers won 36-10. Ben Roethlisberger, 29.32, 4 passing touchdowns. I want to talk about Ben Roethlisberger real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last week against Dallas, they're the 23rd ranked ranked defense versus QBs. He had 25.04. This week against Cincinnati, 26th versus QBs. He had 29.32. Next week, he's against Jacksonville, who's 30th versus QBs. So we might see another big week out of Ben Roethlisberger.
I just want to say something about the Steelers as a whole.
Yeah.
If you still don't think that they're the number 1 team in the league, you're lying to yourself. You're just lying to yourself.
They have had a pretty easy stretch of games, but they do look good. I'll tell you.
Oh, come on. The Bengals beat the Titans, and the Titans kept up with the Steelers when they played, so it's a rock, paper, scissors thing.
Claypool for Pittsburgh, 21.3, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow on the other side, 12.52, not his best performance. T. Higgins, however, had 22.5, 7 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown. 49ers Saints won. Drew Brees collapsed the lung, fractured a few ribs. He's out for at least 2 weeks.
I think he bruised a few ribs.
He fractured. I'm serious. He fractured ribs on both sides.
Alright, I believe that.
He did collapse the lung. You want to search that up?
Yes, I want to search it up.
I'm positive he collapsed the lung.
Multiple rib fractures on both sides. And holy shit. Oh my god.
Jameis Winston. Yeah.
Okay.
Jameis Winston. Right. Jameis Winston's named the new starter, I believe.
But I wouldn't start him on your fantasy team if you had Drew Brees.
Yeah, especially with Kamara in the backfield. Speaking of Kamara, he had 34.8 fantasy points. 3 total touchdowns for Kamara. He's the number 1 fantasy running back right now. Mike Thomas, shit.
If only someone had said
4.7 points.
Well, like
it's not
six weeks ago now. I said that Sanders was gonna continue to be the number 1 receiver because Michael Thomas would never come back at the.
Kamara's actually been the top receiver. Actually.
Oh my god, I believe it.
Listen, it's like you said. I mean, Mike Thomas is obviously a special talent. He's special. There he is. Yeah, he's phenomenal special, player. He's not going to keep stinking it up eventually. It does hurt that Drew Brees is out.
I think if you are a Michael Thomas fantasy owner, you wasted probably a 1st or 2nd round pick, and the season is a wash.
We'll see. The season's not over, Julian.
Patriots, the best you can get out of Michael Thomas is a keeper for next year.
Sunday night, Patriots-Ravens. Patriots won, surprisingly.
Baby!
No one picked. Unfortunately, no one picked the Patriots here after further review.
What it's all about. That's what I've been waiting for.
It's too bad they're not going to make the playoffs.
Okay. I'd like to see the Bills beat the Ravens. I'd like to see that happen.
Rex Burkhead 22.6 fantasy points, 2 receiving touchdowns, 1 from Jacoby Myers.
His projections are way down this week. What is happening?
Oh,
he's projected about 10
it's
points.
3 people in the backfield.
Yeah, but he was always projected 14, 15.
Bill Snead for Baltimore, 23.4. He also had 2 touchdowns. And then moving on to Monday night, the Vikings beat the Bears in Chicago, 19-13.
Dalvin Cook clutched up just enough for me to win my fantasy week. Not a crazy amount. Definitely 15, not Dalvin Cook
15.2.
Nothing. We expect more from him, but
we can't
take 15 for
stretch. But I think 15's good. I mean, it's not. It's bad for him.
It's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
It's nothing
though.
to be upset.
Like if Rex Burkhead got that, that'd be a good week from him.
That's very true. You're right. Wow. Way to be the voice of reason.
Adam Thielen, 20.3. He also had 2 touchdowns. A lot of 2-touchdown games this week. Foles got hurt at the end of the game, but it's not. His injury is not as serious as once thought.
I think Foles just wanted out.
Trubisky was injured, shoulder.
I hope Trubisky's shoulder heals fast because he needs to come back in. They were winning games. I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, that's the Week 10 summary. Let's get right into the fantasy segment.
Let's do it.
Top players of the week: Cole Beasley, 27.9. Alvin Kamara.
Kind of a shocker. I'll be honest. Cole Beasley was.
Well, Diggs had 25, and he wasn't the top receiver on the team. Alvin Kamara, 34.8 expected. Roethlisberger, 29.32. Josh Jacobs, 29.6. DeAndre Hopkins, 25.7. Stephon Diggs, 25.3. Thomas Brady, 31.84, and Nyheim Hines.
It's Mr. Brady to you.
Nyheim Hines, 28.5. Let's jump right into Shat Team of the Week off of top players. QB, Russell Wilson. It's my top pick. 9.92. He was projected 20.93. That's a shatty performance. He's had a bad stretch. I don't think... Carson Wentz was up there in my consideration with 8 points, but I just feel that Russ is expected so much more. Carson Wentz also had 8 last week, so I'm going Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Running backs, Jim Connor for me is the leader. He only got 6.8, projected 13.71, and Mike Davis is my second one. I mean, this guy's had so many chances with Christian McCaffrey being injured all the time.
Right.
And he did good at first, but he's kind of been shitty lately. 8.4 this week, projected 16.08. We'll see him again as McCaffrey has been officially ruled out for this week. We'll see Mike Davis again.
Which is so unfortunate because everyone loves McCaffrey. There's not an NFL fan that hates McCaffrey unless you're like a Falcons fan or something.
Well, two of the top running backs in fantasy projected this year have been injured all season. Saquon and McCaffrey.
Saquon's just gone into hiding. Hopefully he comes back.
Well, hiding. He tore an ACL.
No, he's
going to come back better than ever.
I hope he does.
Brady style. Wide receivers. DK Metcalf, 4.8.
AJ Brown.
Projected 16.67. AJ Brown had a horrible week.
It's got to be AJ Brown.
I agree with that. I think another consideration. Obviously my second is Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas is my second with 4.7.
AJ Brown's coming off his 2 biggest weeks, right?
No, yeah, he's
hot.
He had a horrible week. I think I would put him as a flex because DK and Mike Thomas were also bad and they're projected more. One player to consider was Bob Anderson of Carolina, 6.1, projected 15.44.
I just think if you really thought that Michael Thomas was going to come back and be good this season, you didn't really look at the whole situation. People are living in his head rent-free right now, and he can't focus on his hands to catch a ball.
I think you have to consider that Drew Brees is not Drew Brees we see in the last few years.
That's true.
He's
Tom Brady last year with the amount of checkdowns he throws. I mean, he's got a rag arm. When you have Kamara, why wouldn't you?
I'm just saying if he didn't have Kamara, the Saints might be a sucky team. Drew Brees he's got a rag arm now. He's getting old.
Well, I mean, he can still throw it better than more than half the QBs in the league, but sure. He's in the top half.
Tight ends. He's not. I'm going TJ Hawkinson. 3.3. He was supposed to be a steady consistent player. He was projected 10.8 and 3.3 is not steady and consistent for
Well-
me. That's a shat performance. He's my tight end.
Well, that's why I've got DeAndre Swift, so I can stack those points.
Yeah.
If one doesn't get him, hopefully the other
Well.
gets him. And especially when Kenny Galladay is hurt, it's bound to either be Hawkinson or DeAndre Swift.
Shat player of the week.
To say, my shat player of the week, I'm going Russell Wilson because he's an MVP front runner and he's expected so much, and this has been a definition of a shat performance. DK Metcalf was a close consideration, but I think his performance also feeds off of Russell Wilson's performance.
I would have voted this week for AJ Brown.
AJ Brown,
simply because of the last 2 weeks. And I think if Matt were here, he would be able to break the tie.
it's a shame we had to fire him.
It's a shame he sucks at his job, but it is what
Alright.
it is. Hopefully he'll go to rehab and he'll come back stronger than ever.
Yeah. I think he's in rehab right now.
Yeah.
Wishing him the best, Matt. We're
Praying
thinking
for
about you. Hope you get your mind right.
Get your mind right.
Let's move on to waiver wire. QB, one guy, Tua Tagovailoa, another week. No, listen. He was rostered 37.9% of leagues last week. He moved from last week to this week. Now he's rostered in 46.4%. I would say get Tua while you can. Okay, the train is moving, and once it goes, it's going to be moving fast, and you won't be able to get him.
Mm-hmm.
He's against Denver this week. Denver is not known for stopping QBs. Do you have any big QB plays this week?
I mean, I hate to say Derek Carr every week, but he's still under 50% rostered.
Mhm.
And I think the Raiders are 6-3. If you're not respecting him at this point,
Well, the Chiefs don't. Yeah, I would say the Chiefs also don't have the best defense, so I would respect that pick.
the Chiefs' defense is very hot and cold. They either get 2 pick sixes a game or they get walked over.
Yeah.
And last time they played the Raiders, they got walked all over.
Mhm.
So I would go with Derek Carr again.
Running backs, Naheem Hines for me. He
Yeah,
is
that's
high.
a
He
good
is
one.
very hard to get. 65.6% rostered. But if he's still available, I would say get him. For the Colts, he's against Green Bay this week, who are 31st versus running backs. He's going to have a monster week this week.
And you're going to call me biased for this.
Oh,
but
no.
I'm going to go with Damian Harris.
No. I was going Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead's 16% rostered. They're both against Houston.
I really, really liked what I
Listen.
saw last game.
They're both against Houston, who's 30th versus running backs. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be either or. I think one of those two is going to have a big week.
You want to pick Rex, though, and I'll
I'm
go
going-
Damian, and then
I'll
we'll
go-
brag about it next podcast.
Yeah, I'll go Rex.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Damian. I really liked what I saw. Clearly, Belichick is having his confidence is growing in the kid.
So do
Which
you
is
move
great.
on from James White and Sony Michel?
Frankly, yeah. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I saw Sony on the field.
Well, I think he's been hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
But James White, he was a phenomenal player a few years ago.
Mhm.
Receivers. Jalen Reagor for me, for Philadelphia, 12.7% rostered. He's against Cleveland, who's 27th versus receivers. I think, a touchdown's accurate. I'd say I give him 15 points. That's pretty good for a waiver wire pick, especially when you're 12.7% rostered. And my other pick is Jakeem Grant for Miami, only 0.7% rostered. He's against Denver, who's 18th versus receivers, but I like pairing Tua and Grant because Grant had 14.3 last week and he had a touchdown, and I feel like I'm going to see another touchdown from him. I like the pair of Tua and Jakeem Grant.
I'm going with Jarvis Landry.
He is the most inconsistent receiver in fantasy football.
Yeah, and
But
that's
it's not
why-
even
and that's why I didn't-
inconsistent.
that's
He's
why I didn't pick him up.
consistently bad. He's
No, no, no,
consistent.
no,
Well, the
no,
weather
no,
was
no,
a factor.
watch-
He's
watch your mouth.
consistently
Watch
bad.
your mouth. Watch your
I
mouth.
love Jarvis Landry.
Jarvis Landry,
I love him.
bona fide stud, playing the Eagles, one of the worst defenses, defensive secondaries, excuse me, the D-line is actually okay. One of the worst defensive secondaries in the whole entire league.
Wayne Gallman shit all over him. All over them this week. 2 touchdowns.
I would go with Jarvis Landry for my my fantasy wire wide receiver.
All right.
Can I kick off tight end?
Yeah, absolutely you can.
Awesome, thank you, Jonathan. Gronk is heating up again.
He's rostered in like 90% of leagues, though.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I
Never
was
mind
looking
that.
at him. I was looking at him.
Honestly,
I'm going Greg Olson because I think about it. The shootout we saw last time from Seattle and Arizona. I think it's very realistic. Greg Olson catches a few balls, maybe a touchdown. 9.7% roster.
You know who I've always been a fan of? Kyle Rudolph. And I know he's not getting. And I know what's his face, Irv Smith.
Yeah,
He's getting a lot.
he's
of
questionable
time.
though. He's questionable.
I mean, Kyle Rudolph is a stud. I had him last year.
Mm-hmm.
He did great things. They've just switched up their offensive
Funny,
this year.
you go back to a year ago and you're looking at Kyle Rudolph and Zach Ertz, considered two of the best tight ends in the league.
Yeah.
And now Ertz is shit. He's injured. He was shit even before he was injured.
I would put value on Rudolph this
Rudolph
week.
isn't shit, but he's definitely not a premier tight end.
No, and I've been off the Johnny Smith train for a while now.
Jones
but I
back
feel
on.
like if you want to take a risk this week, he's probably one of the highest ceilings in the entire game.
Defense, I'm streaming. Miami versus Denver, definitely. Drew Lock's hurt. He's questionable.
Yeah.
Even if he plays, he's a shit QB. I'm sorry. I have to say it.
Whoa.
Miami has a phenomenal defense, third ranked for fantasy points in the league. And I think that they will feast up this week against Denver. We may see a defensive touchdown from Miami.
For defense,
That's a big
I'll go with
prediction.
the Chargers. D-line is amazing as always, and they're playing the Jets, so how hard of a decision is that? It's not. Call me an amazing analyst for picking that one.
All right, that is the fantasy report for look ahead to week 11. All right, let's jump into the discussion about NFL players right now. Let's start off with stocks, buy and sell. Baker Mayfield, buy or sell?
Don't buy. If you have him,
Let's
sell.
let's think about.
I would say don't buy. If you have him and you don't want to
So
get
you're
rid of
saying
him,
there's
buy
no
him.
possibility he's gonna do anything that'll be relevant to a fantasy QB?
No.
For a fantasy
The Browns' plan for the rest of the year is the ground game, and I think that's evident as of right now. So I have no reason
QB?
to.
No, yeah, I would say so.
To try and acquire Baker Mayfield.
What about in like weekly fantasy? Like, would you ever pull the trigger on him? Is he?
No.
No. All right. Todd Gurley, buy or sell?
Ooh, that's a good one.
He's been flying under the radar. He's had a phenomenal year with the Falcons.
Well, has he scored in the last 2 weeks?
I think he has.
Maybe once.
Yeah.
He slowed down though. He was averaging.
Oh, he did slow down in the last 2
there
weeks,
was like
but
3 weeks in
that's
the
the
middle where he
question.
was getting.
That's
a
the question.
touchdown
Do you
each
buy
one.
him now when he's slowed down?
Yeah. I like Todd. I like Todd Gurley, and you know what? He's one of those guys that doesn't really get hurt that often. So I think. I think it's a solid bet.
I don't even know why I'm asking this, but Derek Carr.
Buy Derek Carr. All right, if you need a quarterback, Derek Carr is your man, and I've said that many times, and there's no point in saying it again.
At what point though do you like who would you start over Derek Carr? Like, would you take Deshaun Watson or Derek Carr in fantasy?
Oh, it pains me to say this because I love Deshaun Watson, but as of right now, Derek Carr.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding at
A
all.
lot of these guys are like really like underrated. Like Deshaun Watson's had an underrated fantasy year.
Deathly serious. I
think his team's record has an overshadow on his fantasy performance.
I mean, obviously, if the Texans still had Hopkins, I would pick Watson,
Yeah.
but I feel like Watson's just he doesn't have a connection.
Juju Smith-Schuster, as we see Claypool and
Oh.
Deontay Johnson.
God, buy all the Steelers receivers, buy them all, and don't let anyone else have them. There's
All right.
no reason that any Steelers receiver
Okay.
should be on the board.
I want to talk. Let's go higher or lower this week.
Yep.
Derrick Henry, 1 touchdown, higher or lower, or right?
No,
right
I
there.
think one.
You think you'll
yeah.
get a touchdown this
I
week
think one.
against
Yeah.
Titans
Well-
or against the Ravens? Because the Ravens have not a bad defense.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think
Derrick
they're
Henry
fair
always.
versus-
If you give me a yardage, do you have a yardage number for this?
80. I think 86 is
More.
the,
I would say
more
more than 86
or
for sure.
89 or something. Joe Burrow, 2 touchdown passes.
More.
He's against football team.
More. Yeah, more.
A lot of times that you run it out, like you get up quick and then you run it out.
Yeah, is Higgins questionable still?
I think he's gonna play. I think they said he looks good.
More.
Okay. Miles Sanders, 75 rushing yards against Cleveland. I think Carson Wentz is not gonna keep throwing. I mean, the man is
I'm gonna say less, simply because
less.
when Sanders was injured and Boston Scott came in, he really grabbed that opportunity by the ball sack and just showed that he's worth something to that team. So now that they've started sharing carries a bit, and it's not exactly even, Sanders still has the majority, Boston Scott still has a some.
Sanders is also coming back from an injury, so he's
I
still
just don't think he's the full number one guy in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
So for that reason, I'm going to say less.
Well, that also ties into your pick for that game. If you think that Miles Sanders will get under 75, that could have an effect on the outcome of the game, definitely. Because Carson Wentz does not look good as a QB ever. Henry Ruggs, last time he played the Chiefs, it was his biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
He had a touchdown. Did he have 2 touchdowns or 1?
No, you had one.
One deep one, right?
Yeah.
Henry Ruggs, 7 catches against the Chiefs. Higher or lower?
7 catches. Lower than 7, but the yardage wouldn't show that. You know, he's gonna
yards
have
after catch.
He'll have 5 catches, and 2 of them are gonna be monsters. I loved Ruggs coming into the season. I don't know if you remember or not, but I drafted Ruggs straight out of the draft. He was like my 15th pick or something, 15 or 14th pick. Just because I loved the guy. And it turned out he wasn't producing as much as I wanted him to. Because of the fact that he doesn't get as many catches, he gets more 40, 50-yard bombs than anyone else.
One more. This is an improv one.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa, 2 touchdowns. Higher or lower? Because, he's against the Broncos. Broncos are 18th versus QBs. He's had 2 touchdowns, more than 2 touchdowns in his last 2 games. And the Dolphins are on fire. But... And Gasket is still out.
I would say it's either lower than 2 passing touchdowns, or it's going to be a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. We'll see some kind of variation. I don't know.
So would you say 2 or under, over?
2 is good. I like 2, but if I had to choose less or more, I'd choose less.
Okay. All right, let's move on to MVP talk. A real discussion about the MVP because we have a lot of... It's been shaken up in the past few weeks. Russ is slowed. He was obviously the front runner for the first 8-7 weeks of the NFL. How much does it take for him to not win it? Like, would you give... at what point do you not give it to Russ?
I think you don't give it to Russ if Kyler Murray outplays him tomorrow night.
You'd say this game is
This game is imperative to the MVP candidate race.
Well, Kyler Murray got the best of him last time they played Week 7.
Yeah.
That was the start of Russ's downfall, too.
It was, and I think if Kyler Murray goes out and does the same exact thing, he puts himself...
So Kyler has definitely been creeping up all year.
Yeah, I honestly, if you asked me to predict right now who the MVP was, I would pick Kyler.
Yeah,
and this has changed.
I don't know if the Cardinals have the legs to go the distance though. I think looking at it, it's not just statistics; it's also valuable. I think it's record. It plays a big factor.
Sure.
I think, and they have the same record right now, of course. And this game will be a big one.
I was, but in the beginning, I was diehard.
Listen, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray. The big thing is Kyler Murray doesn't know. He doesn't have experience. He doesn't know what it takes to make a deep playoff push. He doesn't know what it takes in the end of the regular season to win games.
And Lamar knew all these things when he won MVP?
Russell Wilson.
Lamar knew all these things about playoff games? That doesn't matter.
Lamar's stats were so much higher than everyone else's. There wasn't even really
Kyler Murray right now is ahead of where Lamar Jackson was at this point in the year last year.
But Russ is right there with him though. That's why there's a conversation because Russ is right there with him.
So you're saying Lamar Jackson won last year because of his stats, but Kyler Murray couldn't win this year because he doesn't have postseason knowledge? I don't understand.
No, not postseason knowledge. End of regular season knowledge.
That doesn't matter at all.
Record does matter when it's a close call for MVP. I would say record does factor in. So I'm saying Kyler Murray doesn't have experience.
I think Kyler Murray's in the up.
Russ knows in the last decade, we've seen Russ in the playoffs so much.
Right.
He knows what it takes to get there. He knows that this is a must-win game tomorrow night, Thursday night.
You think? I mean, you can say Kyler Murray doesn't have experience with playing playoff teams, but you look at who he's playing in the regular season. He's about to play the Seahawks twice, and they are arguably one of the most definite playoff teams. So
they have the Patriots next week.
If you're saying he wouldn't fare well against tough teams, this simply isn't true. He's disproven that multiple times, and as of right now, Kyler Murray, if he keeps this pace up, looks like my MVP choice.
Oh wow! What about Ben Roethlisberger? Okay, undefeated, 9-0.
Yeah,
he's had phenomenal stats the last couple of weeks. Is he at all in the conversation? Because I know Matt gave us. I know Matt before he got fired. I know Matt gave us his list of MVP. Can we pull that up?
Yeah, let's pull up that list.
Because I know Big Ben wasn't even in the top 5 for him.
Do you have a list, or do you want?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say.
So, you want me to give it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Here's what our ex-employee Matt had to say. He's still got Wilson on top.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable. He's got Rodgers in second.
Aaron Rodgers, that's a big one.
Murray in third. Mahomes in fourth. Brady in 5. No mention of Roethlisberger.
No Big Ben.
Which actually,
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Brady has actually fallen for me a lot.
I would say that as well. At this point, I think if Brady were to come back and win the MVP, he would have to have 4 touchdown games for the rest of the season.
Really. I mean, it would take a lot for Tom Brady to win this MVP.
So
I think Rodgers is up there.
It's safe to say
Mahomes
neither of us agree with Matt's list right here.
Yeah, no, Matt. That's why he was fired. That's part of the reason. He's such a
horrible
analyst.
For me, I would go Murray, Wilson, Mahomes. No.
Mahomes.
Oh God, let me rephrase. Murray, Wilson, Roethlisberger, Mahomes, Rodgers.
Oh, I'm so close. I had Wilson, Murray, so I switched that, and then I had the same bottom 3: Roethlisberger, Mahomes, Rodgers, and then Brady's out of there. I couldn't put him at a spot right now.
Brady's at 6. You know, he's number 6 in my opinion. That's what it is.
What's the highest running back though? Is Alvin Kamara the highest running back?
Let me say one more thing. If Derek Carr leads the Raiders to a win over Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs,
I don't.
No. I'm not saying Derek Carr is in the MVP race. I'm just saying Mahomes will fall more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not saying this puts Derek.
It scared me because you specifically mentioned Derek Carr if Derek.
Well, I like him, but no, he's not in the MVP race. But
who's the highest ranked non QB in the MVP race? Let's say you have every player in a list. Who's the top ranked? Is it Alvin Kamara or Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry too? Because you got to look what he's done for the Titans.
No, I don't think it's Derek.
I'd take Alvin Kamara.
I don't think it's Derek because of lack of touchdowns. It's either Alvin or Dalvin.
Are they in the top 10 at all? Would you say they're in the top 10?
Oh yeah, for sure they're in the top 10.
So who's higher? So obviously you have Tom Brady higher than Kamara.
Yeah, I would go. The first 5 are all quarterbacks.
First 6, actually.
Sure.
Brady.
Yeah.
Is Kamara higher than Brady?
You could make that argument. I would hear that argument.
Close call.
I would hear that argument out.
All right.
I wouldn't make it necessarily, but you could definitely say it. In terms of receiving, would there be
of breaking news? There was a trade in me and Julian's league last night. But Julian received. We're 2 of the top teams in our league.
Yeah,
he's behind 1 game, and we're playing this week.
I feel like for them to know the whole situation, we have to go through our teams so they already know who we have, you know?
Well, I'll just start off with mine then, because I have Lamar Jackson. Before the trade...
Let's say what the trade was first.
Okay.
And then we'll say who we have.
The trade was, I gave Julian DeAndre Hopkins for Derrick Henry and DK Metcalf.
Okay. Now I know what they're thinking at home. Julian, you fucking idiot. You're crazy. You're absolutely insane.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw the
Your balls are on the walls. They are stapled to the drywall right now.
Put them up on the felt.
I'm just plopping them on the table for the whole world to see. Let me explain. Let me defend right now. Kyler Murray is my starting quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. If Kyler Murray has a good game, DeAndre Hopkins has a good game, and the other way around. So,
what if he throws to Andy Isabella and Christian Kirk? Or
I won't be mad.
But then Hopkins might suffer a bit.
I don't think he's.
Or Kyler could just rush. And if Kyler has a bad game, then Hopkins has a bad game.
No. Well,
Yes.
that's the thing. When you stack points like that with a quarterback and a receiver,
Because if let's say
if it works out,
if Kyler Murray has a bad game, that hurts your whole team drastically. They're two of your biggest players
I've already
now.
done this the whole rest of the season because at the beginning, as we just said, I had DK. Now John has him. I was stacking Russell and DK, and when Russell and DK had that 40-point week where DK had 40 points. That was a great week. There was no way I was losing that game because Russell had like 35 and DK had 40, which was awesome. But when on games where DK had 3 or 8 and Russell Wilson threw 3 interceptions and ended with 28 points, it hurt a lot more. So that when you stack points with a quarterback and a receiver, the ceiling is much higher, but the floor is a lot lower as well.
Yeah. Well, let's go through the teams because it's important to know
okay.
why we got those positions.
Right.
Start off your team.
Yeah. So here's my team. Now.
Yeah.
So Kyler's my
post trade.
Kyler's my starting quarterback. Dalvin is my starting running back. So when I traded Derrick Henry away, he wasn't my number 1 running back, which is very important because I feel like on most teams he would be a number 1 running back. My other running backs right now are DeAndre Swift and James Robinson. My receivers right now are Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, and now DeAndre Hopkins. My tight end is Hawkinson, but that's just I'll waiver that if I feel like it. Yeah. My defense is streamed.
Important.
And Young Hoku is my kicker every week because I love.
No,
him.
don't you have the Colts kicker now?
No. I only did it last week because we went by. Young Hoku is the best kicker in the league. Don't at me.
My team. I mean, I know bench, but that doesn't really play a factor in this trade. My team: Lamar Jackson, Aaron Jones. Now, I do have Zeke. He's been inconsistent lately. So now I have Derrick Henry.
Which is why you needed Derrick.
And I had the top 3 receivers, or arguably the top 3 receivers in the league. I had the best receiver core with Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins and Adam Thielen. So my running backs were lower. So I thought I need to build up some because running backs are safer than receivers.
Of course.
So I would like to build a running back core. So I got Derrick Henry, and now I pair him with Aaron Jones. And now I just substituted Hopkins for Metcalf.
And I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but we're playing each other this week. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So it's, for me,
Plus this Thursday night matchup with Metcalf versus Hopkins.
I know.
Exciting.
The possible doubling up on points with Hopkins and Murray, it's
in a shootout. It's going to be a shootout.
It's too much of a. It's got too much of an upside for me to pass.
We were talking about this last night, though. Hopkins, his targets have been inconsistent all year. He's gone from 16 to 3 to 8 to 12. It's been very inconsistent, whereas Devontae Adams, my first receiver, he's been consistent when he's healthy, 17, 15, 12, 15, back up, and he's had so many great games. But Hopkins has been inconsistent.
There's 2 reasons why I didn't want Devontae Adams, and it's 1, I don't have Aaron Rodgers, and 2,
you don't have to pair them though. I know
you don't
either.
have to, but when you do, you up your possible points, and that's a fact, and that's what I'm trying to do against you, John.
I like spreading them.
I'm gonna
I like covering the spread.
Let me be respectful right now.
I like covering the spread.
Let me be respectful.
I like getting every point from
your
every game.
fantasy team's okay this year. Let me be frank. It's okay this year.
I'm in first place.
We're 1-1 against each other. Whoever wins this game could very possibly win the rest of the league.
Yeah.
If I win, we'll even each other up at 8-3. Right?
But you have more points scored because you
have
a high-powered offense.
So I will take first.
So I think unless I beat you by 150 or something.
Yeah.
Beat you by 100 points. I think I won this trade. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think I won this trade because let me explain it though, because I think I just downgraded the number 4 receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the number 5 receiver in fantasy points, DK Metcalf, while getting the number 4 running back, Derrick Henry. I like that personally. That's why I did the deal.
And it works for me because I gave you the number 5 receiver and exchanged for the number 4 receiver. But
you lost the number 4 running back though too.
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, it's no skin off my nutsack, really, because I have
Okay,
DeAndre Swift
You
this
and
week.
balls.
Well, I'm going receiver heavy.
Well, speaking of that,
I like to go receiver heavy.
Speaking-
Are you doing 3 receivers, 2 running backs, or 3 backs, 2 receivers?
Until Ezekiel Elliott proves
Right.
himself.
So I have all the faith in the world in Tyreek Hill, Julio
Listen.
Jones, and
Julio
Hopkins.
Jones has been
And
inconsistent.
so I
Let's-
also got faith in Dalvin, and so I just need DeAndre
speaking-
Swift to go crazy this week, which I think
Speaking-
is going to happen. We already discussed because I'm stacking the points with DeAndre Swift and Hawkinson. Since Galladay is out, I think that they should really be getting a lot more targets. And
Speaking of receivers, who is the best receiver in the NFL right now? So like best receiver, it's a little
yeah, it is.
vague. I would say, I'd say just a overall talent, chemistry with the QB.
Do you want
Fantasy
me to agree with you or
points.
want me to disagree with you?
It's
Chemistry-
your opinion. It's your opinion. Because in my opinion, I don't even think it's my opinion. I think it's a known fact that